Hey, it's Ben with OnCall Air, and welcome to our What's New video. So we've been pretty busy this summer, and we wanted to share some of the things that we've been working on, some features and some content and some stories to share about OnCall Air. I'm going to do a quick introduction of the different topics, and then I'm going to hand it over to my colleagues from OnCall Air. Each of them are going to talk about different topics that are new. So let's go ahead and get started. The first person that I'm going to hand this over to will be Kat. Kat's going to be talking about some pretty cool new features that we've launched recently with OnCall Air. For example, our new improved filtering allows you to much more easily see, let's say you want to see all the sales that were closed in the last 6 days by a particular consultant. You can do that much more quickly now. Let's say you want to look at sales that are about to expire in the next 30 days and you want to work on those. Much easier to do those types of filtering in the system now. And a bigger new feature that we just launched, it's been extremely popular, loss tracking. So the ability to say, if you haven't won that proposal, you can kind of close the loop on the opportunity, mark it as lost. You can add a note, you can add a reason, and then using that together with filters, you can revisit some of these lost opportunities and go back 6 months and say, okay, what opportunities did I lose 6 months ago that I marked as postponed? And then you can use that to kind of refilter and reconnect with those customers. So Kat will show you how this works and show you examples of all these new features in more detail. Then we're going to move over to Carmela. Carmela is going to show you and tell you about our new integration with ServiceTitan. So we have many customers that are using ServiceTitan and OnCall Air and side by side today. What this does is it really facilitates those two systems talking to each other. So basically, when you have a customer record and you in ServiceTitan and you want to start an OnCall Air proposal or set of proposals, you can now do that. You can set up ServiceTitan so to automatically push that information into OnCall Air, assign it to the salesperson or the consultant. Once that proposal gets accepted by your customer, then that information pushes back automatically into ServiceTitan and appropriate links back into OnCall Air to see the accepted proposal in the inspector. So Carmela will show you how this works in more detail and show you some screens. Then we're going to go back also to Ben from our success team. Ben has been working on a set of best practices and some tutorials on how to use one of our popular features called FlexJob. FlexJob, in the example that Ben's going to share, helps you be really efficient in quoting non-standard jobs, but also leverage the power of OnCall Air in terms of the presentation and the way to push that out to your customer, remotely in the mobile-friendly quotes, et cetera. So Ben will walk you through how this works. Then we're going to, Adolfo from our marketing team, he is going to, he's been working with Eddie from Bass Air. Bass Air is a customer of OnCall Air, and Eddie has been a big champion of OnCall Air. He's really, been innovative in how he implements the system at that company. Eddie's going to share some of his success story, share some of his insights and what he's been able to accomplish with OnCall Air. And the last thing is we'll come back to me. I'm going to go through an article that we recently posted on our website, which talks about how to think a little bit differently, perhaps, about presenting your quotes and how to incorporate your brand and why that's so important when you present a quote to the homeowner. So we'll walk you through some tips and some examples using OnCall Air, and that'll wrap it up. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to hand it over to Kat now, who's going to walk through the new features.
Hey everyone, this is Kat with the product team. Last month, we released 3 main features that we hope you'll really enjoy. The first feature is InfoCard. Time is everything. And getting customer details by clicking each consultation, trying to find their email and phone number will take forever. Instead, you can use an info card that belongs to each consultation straight from the navigator. You can get the customer phone number, all the key dates in one click. The second feature is something we like to call sales filtering. This feature allows you to build lists of consultations that need the most attention. For example, you can build out a list that belongs to a specific consultant, list of consultations in specific statuses, and even filter the ones by specific dates. You can quickly build a follow-up list. To do that, you need to select all consultations that have status presented, and select the date range that you're interested in. Then you can expand the info card, give a call to that customer, check out the dates that are important for them to know, and hopefully close the job. You can also start using the expiration date. Each consultation has a specific expiration interval that our customer success team can help you set up. By selecting the expiration date, you're encouraging the expiration date column to show up within each consultation. This expiration date can be sorted, so you can see the consultations that are about to expire soon. That kind of leads us into the third feature, loss status. When you're following up with a customer and they're telling you that probably is not a good time, they're not ready to move forward, you can use the feature Mark Lost. Lost consultations don't really mean that they are lost. The customer might say that maybe you don't have the product that they really need at this time. Maybe the timing is wrong. Or they would like you to give them a call in, let's say, 2 weeks. So you can mark this proposal as lost, but can quickly come back to the proposals that maybe were postponed. So you can do another follow-up on just the lost customers by selecting the lost status and selecting the dates the consultations were marked as lost. You can empower more team members to use this feature by setting their permissions in the office as able or unable to mark consultations as lost. These were the three main features that we wanted to talk about and highlight in this month's update. We're working on more cool stuff, so hopefully for the next product updates in the next month, we'll be able to show you more cool features. And now here is Carmela with our new ServiceTitan integration.
Thanks, Kat. Hello, everyone. My name is Carmela. I'm with the customer success team, and I'm here today to demo for you the ServiceTitan and OnCall Air beta integration. Once you're connected, you'll begin the process of creating your consultations, same as you would today. You would start with searching or creating your customer in ServiceTitan. And what we'll do today is we'll just search for a customer. We'll select the property. We'll move down to the overview, fill in the information we need to fill out. And assign a technician. You'll want to make sure that you do have the OnCall Air tag added before you click on Book Job. Once we book our job, customer details are sent to OnCall Air and it will create a draft. So if we go to OnCall Air and refresh our OnCall Air browser, we'll see here we have a draft created for our customer. We can now click into that draft and proceed to build our consultation. So we'll go ahead and quickly move through this so that we can get to the presented proposal. And so once your customer has accepted the proposal, that is when we will send that information back to ServiceTitan. So let's go ahead and quickly accept this. Great. So once it has been accepted, you'll get notification from us that it's accepted. And when you go into your ServiceTitan account, you will now have a sold estimate. So the information that we transfer over to ServiceTitan will be the total investment amount. And then from here, you can proceed to create your invoice, schedule your installation, and manage anything else related to your customer from within the ServiceTitan application. And now here's a quick OnCall Air tip from Ben Fight.
Thanks, Carmilla. This is Ben Fight here from Port St. Lucie, Florida, and I wanted to give you a quick tip on another way that you can use FlexJobs. As you may be aware, FlexJobs can be used for a variety of jobs. For example, you could use a FlexJob to do a repair versus replace quote. So here I have a FlexJob for compressor replacement. You could also use a FlexJob to quote ductwork modifications, as you can see in this example. You can even use a FlexJob to quote any commercial jobs that you may need to build. Another idea I wanted to share with you was having a generic FlexJob that you can customize so you can offer the customer exactly what they need for that job. Let's take a look at this in more detail. The first step is to build the FlexJob. So I'm going to go to the office, go to FlexJobs, and I'm going to create a new FlexJob. The FlexJob name is the name that appears on a proposal. We want this FlexJob to be versatile and be used for a variety of jobs and recommendations. So I want to choose a name that's generic. So let's say my company is Air Warriors. I'm going to name my FlexJob Air Warriors Solution. You can always change this name on the fly when you're building a proposal, as you'll see here in a minute. Next up, we have the category and subcategory where this FlexJob will live. So I put mine under the HVAC service and repair and the general HVAC service because this FlexJob is going to be used for a variety of jobs that I may come across. FlexJob code is an internal code that you can use. I'm going to leave mine blank. This is optional, and I'm going to publish mine so my team can access it. Next up is the FlexJob description. Again, we want this to be generic because we want this FlexJob to be used for a variety of jobs that we may come across. So instead of putting job specific information here, I put information that introduces my company. Same logic with the FlexJob feature highlights. I'm going to use this to highlight my company. So I'm going to say NATE certified and 5-star Google reviews. For the job visuals, I'm just going to put my logo, and then I'm going to leave everything else blank. I'm not going to add products because I plan on customizing this FlexJob on the fly. And I'm not going to add a price because, again, it's going to depend on what I'm using this FlexJob for. So I'm going to click update or save. So basically what we just did was create a generic FlexJob that we're going to be able to customize when building a proposal. So let's take a look at some examples. Let's say I'm building a proposal for a multi-system home. So they have an upstairs unit and a downstairs unit. So I'm going to quickly name this upstairs unit, downstairs unit. Now let's say that I wanted to recommend 2 air purifiers, one for the upstairs and one for the downstairs. I'm going to go to FlexJob. I'm going to find my generic FlexJob that I created. As you can see here, Air Warrior Solution. I'm going to view and edit it. So if we open up the description, you see we have an image. We have that generic text just introducing our company. And this down here is where we're going to customize this FlexJob. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to add product. I'm going to find the air purifier. Let's say it's this Remy Halo here. I'm going to click on it. And again, I want one for the upstairs, one for the downstairs. So I'm going to increase the quantity to 2. So now I have 2 air purifiers. And I can leave a little note in the custom description here. So I'm going to say install 2 new air purifiers. I can add any additional materials or any additional labor that may be required for this FlexJob. So I'll say 5 hours. And I'm going to customize the FlexJob name. So instead of Air Warrior Solution, I'm going to put, because I want to recommend this, Air Warriors Recommendation. So here's the FlexJob I just customized, the Air Warriors Recommendation. Inside of it, I have my 2 Remy Halos. And I want to recommend this. So I'm going to click on the FlexJob that I customized. I'm going to go to my better option and I'm going to recommend it. And here's how it would look for your customers. So I have the downstairs unit, I have my upstairs unit, I have my recommendations here. So Air Warriors recommendation, I can click on it and I can see that we have 2 Remy Halos that the customer can then add. Let's look at another example. Let's say I'm building a proposal and I have a specific recommendation I want to make for this particular customer. So I'm going to go to my FlexJobs. I'm going to find my generic FlexJob I've created. I'm going to edit it. And let's say there's a ductwork modification I want to make. So let's say increase airflow by fabricating supply from air handler to ductwork in the guest room. So I have that as my description. Let's say it's an additional $600 in cost, 4 hours. That's going to generate the price. I can customize the name. So Air Warriors ductwork modification, save. Here it is. And I can either include it or recommend it. So in my example, I'm going to recommend it. And let's say another example, I want to, in my best option, I wanted to recommend a water heater. So find my generic FlexJob, edit it. In this case, I'm going to add the product because it's a water heater. Here's the water heater, add it, type in a description, add any additional material cost and labor. I can edit the name. And on my best option, I'll recommend it. Here's how it would look for your customer. So first, here's our ductwork modifications that we recommended. So the consumer has the ability to add it to the proposal or leave it off. And here's the water heater recommendation. Again, the user can add it or decide to opt out of the water heater. So having this generic FlexJob that you can customize on the fly gives you the flexibility to include or recommend any item that you may need for that job. Now, let's kick it to Adolfo.
Thanks, Ben. For this edition's Customer Spotlight, we spoke with Eddie Simmons from Bass Air Conditioning Company over in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Let's hear what Eddie had to say about his OnCall Air experience.
Bass Air Conditioning Company has set a lot of standards in the Fayetteville area. The ongoing process is to be the leading company in this area. We've been with OnCall Air now for just a little over a year now. We wanted to enhance the digital proposals. For years we had done handwritten proposals, and with COVID setting in and also this being a military town, we're able now to separate ourselves from our competition with these enhanced digital proposals. I'm able to send these proposals anywhere in the world as we have our troops stationed, and they're able to open it up and see what system we're providing here in their homes in Fayetteville. And the transaction in between the two is just very, very easy. The best year that I've ever had in sales was my first year with OnCall. I think we went from $6,200, and my average ticket now is around $8,500. My closing rate went up about 25 to 30% using the OnCall program. The ease of providing several different options, picking equipment, picking accessories, and being able to custom fit that in just a few minutes has really changed the way we do our heating and cooling proposals. If you're still writing paper proposals, do yourself a favor. Allow OnCall Air to come in, set up your business where you can use digital proposals and start being the best you can be.
Thanks, Eddie. We always love hearing about how OnCall Air is helping our customers grow their sales and take their proposal presentation to the next level. And now, back over to Ben Vides.
Okay, it's me again. Hopefully you found a lot of what the team has shared with you useful. So I'm going to wrap it up with a recent article we published to our blog. We are really making a strong commitment to kind of improve and increase the quantity and quality of articles that we're sharing with you, because as a product like OnCall Air grows over the years and we add a lot of capabilities and functionality, it's really critical for us to give you more tips and advice and show you ways that you can use the software, or ways that you can think about the process, the kind of the HVAC sales process in different ways, and share tips that we find, whether it's things that we build internally or tips that we find from other experts across the internet or in the industry. So one of those things, as we decided, is to publish this article on brand powered HVAC quotes. So what does that mean? Brand powered HVAC quotes. Well, the idea here is that, as most people, are aware these days, brand is obviously well beyond your logo. It's beyond your color scheme. The brand is really, kind of the unique value proposition of your company. And the brand is kind of defined by, your customers, your team, kind of the operations, everything that you do that's unique and that delivers kind of unique value in the market, right? And I think a lot of us, a lot of companies will go out and spend a lot of time trying to brand their website. So when customers are evaluating whether they're going to choose you to, come out to their house to give them a quote, you spend a lot of time kind of telling those stories on your website. You spend time branding, of course, your trucks, your uniforms, maybe some of the collateral that you leave behind in the home. But what we also see is that during the sales quoting process itself, we see that as a pretty big missed opportunity for a lot of companies. And we think it's kind of time to think differently about how you represent your brand during the sales quoting itself. So why does this matter so much? Well, and specifically during the time that you're quoting that job, right? So if you're a salesperson or your tech has gone out to the home, you've evaluated the opportunity, and then you quote the customer. So some people might send an invoice or a PDF or even just text a price. That's what I'm referring to. That's the opportunity to really brand your company. And it matters so much, for 4 key reasons. The first one is, this is where you're going to establish your difference, right? Especially if a customer is considering competitive quotes, or perhaps they're considering, maybe deferring this and doing this at a later time. Highlighting what's unique about your company and really highlighting your brand during the quote and when you present the quote is really going to make a big difference. So pricing power, as your brand, the stronger your brand, the more pricing power you're going to have, right? Because customers are going to trust you, and customers pay more for a business that they trust. So making sure that you're conveying the uniqueness and the value of your brand during the sales quote, again, is a really big opportunity. The other thing is promoting lifetime value. So as you're presenting a quote, maybe you're presenting a quote to replace an HVAC system. It's really an opportunity to also let the customer know what else that you do, to make recommendations. Perhaps it's air quality, perhaps it's insulation, perhaps it's electrical or plumbing. There's a lot of opportunities to think about the sales quote, not just as a transaction, but as part of creating more lifetime value with that customer. And then finally, one of the big things that we focus on OnCall Air is that a large percentage of quotes don't necessarily close at the kitchen table. So once you hand over that proposal, if you're sending it with OnCall Air, for example, it's a very dynamic and interactive kind of shopping experience that your customer is looking at, and making sure that your brand and everything that's unique about your service and your company is reflected in that when they're looking at that proposal, perhaps on their couch on a weekend night, and they're looking at it with their spouse. Those are really the key times where you want to make that brand really visible and really clear to your customers. So what are some tips around this? Well, we have 5 tips, and I'm going to use OnCall Air. I think you can apply these tips in a lot of, using a lot of different, solutions, but I'm obviously going to use OnCall Air because that's what we know. And we think that, there's a lot of unique capability that makes this easier inside of OnCall Air. So the first thing is, embedding the brand in the quote, right? Some companies will focus on, okay, I just got to make sure I have the right equipment and the right parts and then the right price, and that's the quote. Well, we think the quote itself is an opportunity to really include additional information about your company. So in this example, you'll see that we have, an air handler, air quality device, we have the products, right? But we also have information, about your team. In this case, the company is called Air Champion, right? So something about the team, what makes the team unique? Are they, are your technicians certified? How long has the team been around? How much experience do you have? Right inside of the quote. You may have this information on your website, but at the time that your customer is looking at your quote, they're probably not going to your website anymore. They're just looking at the quote. And if you're just giving them, a couple model numbers and a price, you're not giving them other things to think about as they're thinking about your brand and what makes your service unique. So embedding it right in there is really valuable. So the second thing is making sure that you're highlighting differences, right? A lot of companies may have a similar looking quote, and they might have an indoor unit, an outdoor unit, and some labor and a price. There's many ways that you can be very subtle, but make sure that you're doing things differently. For instance, the example we're using here is the way that you might use discounts. Maybe those discounts are branded with your company name. It's a very unique type of discount. Even the way that you offer financing or how you lead in with financing. The example that I have here is OnCall Air has a capability to create what's called an interactive discount, which is basically a customer can give themselves a discount if they choose to not finance. It's just an example of something that you're offering that's a unique way to position what's different about you, about your company. The other thing that we think and we see being pretty successful is put some personality into your proposal. So if you're maybe a one company operation, one truck operation, and you're an entrepreneur and you're growing your business, there's nothing like putting a little bit of personality about who you are. Even if you're a salesperson at a large company, you can put in a virtual business card, a virtual profile about you, and have some fun with it. Those are the things that really stand out to customers. So in some cases, what you can do, or what we've seen done with OnCall Air, is you can kind of even put a picture of your team member, put a little story of who you are, put something unique about that. Don't make it dry, don't make it bland, make it something that's memorable, and people will kind of connect with that in a much better level than they would connect with a plain proposal that's just talking about model numbers. The other thing is that everybody is familiar with kind of the Amazon.com shopping experience on their phone, or Walmart, modern kind of consumer-friendly e-commerce sites. If you're looking at simple products on those sites, you'll see that there's a lot of information beyond the product itself, and a lot of it is about building that brand. One of those things is just getting those relevant reviews, right? So again, this is something that a lot of HVAC companies we see that we work with do this very well on their websites. But then at the moment of truth, when the customer is actually looking at your quote, there's nothing to be seen about that, right? There's this expectation that, oh, maybe the customer will go back to my website. They most likely won't. So why not just embed, kind of select the key reviews or the key information that you want your customer to know, maybe awards, and put that right inside the quote. So as they're scrolling on their mobile phone, they're seeing things like this, and they're seeing call outs and awards or certifications that you've won right inside of the quote itself. And then the last tip that we have is there's very subtle, maybe work descriptions that you're going to include in the job, some fine print, the notes that you put in. There's a lot of ways to be unique in how you brand it there. For a few examples here. So instead of the good, better, best, or the silver, gold, platinum, you can get creative with those names, and that it makes it more memorable for the customer. It also makes it more difficult to compare. Doesn't look like a cookie cutter quote. So you can customize that. In OnCall Air, we have a feature where you can customize this for before you present a quote. So you can even customize it for that particular customer as well. When you're creating kind of the work items, if a customer is paying $10,000 for a new HVAC system for their home, most consumers care, like, what's the work that's going to go in here, right? So if you're able to kind of detail that work, but actually make it reflect your brand and not just list out 3 things, this all kind of reflects the attention to detail that your company has. But again, it also puts it in a frame that's unique to your business. And then even things like your terms of service, you can introduce that with something that maybe the first line, obviously taking into account this is not legal advice, but you can introduce that in a way that is friendlier about your brand and your company, right? People, again, when they're spending this amount of money, they want to read the terms of service, right? It's important to read that. This is not signing up for Click Software and then everybody ignores the checkbox. they will read this, right? So reinforcing your brand and what's unique about your business, right at the start of that, kind of as an introduction to the terms of service can be very useful. So those are the 5 tips. I think what's really useful to do is kind of put yourself in the shoes of the homeowner and how they're thinking about this, and then think about creatively about how you can kind of embed your brand as you think about that homeowner shopping in front of you or shopping for your services, from the comfort of their couch when you don't have the opportunity to be right in front of them. Okay, so this is available at oncallair.com. So you can see kind of some of the tips there. And of course, feel free to reach out to our team. If you're using OnCall Air today, you can set up a review session with our team, using the chat box, and schedule a time. And then the team will go through some of these tips and show you how to implement them if you're not, if you're not sure. And that wraps up our What's New segment. So hopefully you found something useful here, and we will be working on more of these and sharing what's new on a more frequent basis, and more articles and more information to help you grow your business and help you save time and help you be more efficient. So thanks very much.